G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a 6P62. This is a curious piece of Russian military hardware which dates back to a fairly recent 2010. By now I'm sure you've seen the gigantic bulk of this weapon, and there's a reason for that. What you're looking at here is a machine gun that's chambered in the Russian 12.7 by 108mm rounds, which is basically your big 50 cal rounds, your big cord machine guns, and shoot them, for example. And for the ease of use and the accessibility of this mod, this thing has just been chambered in the standard vanilla game 50 cal. But I'm sure at some point there'll be a munitions patch to address this to make it fire the right round. So what's the purpose of a gigantic machine gun firing 50 cal rounds? Well, it's simple. Basically, you get a couple of dudes in your squad holding this thing, and a jeep rolls up, it's hostile, you've got the means to take it out. Unfortunately, they figured out it was a little bit too impractical. It's just easy to carry around something like an RPG to use in that sort of situation, so back to the drawing board they went, and this thing was never really produced or deployed anywhere. But there must be pictures of it around here, and we get to use it in Fallout 4, so that's something, right? Obviously, with this thing, you're going to get high damage from its big 50 cal rounds, a low magazine, and lots of recoil as well, so we'll deal with that as we go to it. But let's get into the attachments. First of all, we've got the receivers. This thing can be automatic if you want, you crazy bastard. A lot of shoulder injuries might come out of this thing being automatic, but we're going to try it out. But the advanced receiver here gives us 582 damage off the bat, which is very strong. Hunting rifles, you'll never have to use them again. This thing is going to be firing way faster than them, and without any of that kooky bolt action nonsense that you got to do between shots. You can't do anything with the barrels or the stocks, unfortunately, so no recoil compensating stock can be added to this. Shoulder dislocation incoming, and you can upgrade the magazine to hold 22 rounds instead of the 14 round magazine, which makes it, I don't know, it doesn't look terribly different, but we'll take the magazine upgrade. And you can have standard sights. You can have glow versions of this on a separate attachment point, but you can put the dovetail rail on, which bolts on just your standard AK sort of rail. With that, you can throw on your standard sights, which means there's scopes. There's reflex sights in here as well. The basket one is pretty. I'll use that one maybe for an automatic version. But if we go over, if we keep scrolling down, I think there's ACOG scopes. Best focus and zoom. And this one, best focus and zoom. I guess that's maybe a more of a Russian version. Looks like a little baby PSO. So I think we'll throw that on because it is an Eastern weapon. I should put Eastern attachments on it, and we'll leave the cursed one till later. Now, you can still install the glowing sights if you feel like it. It gives you better sighted accuracy. I'm not sure whether that actually helps you when you're aiming down the scope and not using those sights at all, but I'm going to throw it on anyway. And if the damage isn't quite enough for you, you've got a slider from plus 20 up to plus 90. Almost 800 damage or 900 damage there. And they've also got a muzzle slot, which you can throw on a muzzle brake to help reel in that recoil. It will crush your ability to use this thing at range. In fact, the range on this thing, I guess the barrel's not super long to support it at a super extreme range and keep that accuracy going. So maybe that's why they've done it, but it's very low, and that's going to be even lower by the time I put a suppressor on it. But we've got Ace Operator, so that's fine. We're getting 728 damage out of this thing. It's a big, fat PBS Russian suppressor. Look at that. This is a very overweight AK-47. Anyways, let's try to get this thing and we'll go shoot things. So we're here at Claire's. This thing is added onto level list. We cannot craft this thing, so after Claire is done with a spiel, you can go and scroll down, go to weapons, and you'll find a 6P62 somewhere. There's one. Perfect, it's already automatic, and look at that gigantic muzzle brake on it. Goodness me. Well, it's probably needed, right? Also, this one's shiny. Welcome back to the Immersive Gunners Plaza. Here is our 6P62 in first person, complete with the bashing animation, which looks like this. It's like slapping someone across the face with a wet fish, and I bet it does like a ton of damage too. Well, it blew up a car in 3 strikes, so it can't be that bad, right? Anyway, so here's what it looks like in third person. We've got the see-through scope attached to it with a reticule that I can barely see. Maybe I should have backed the ACOG here, because the black is not really helping me. But we can slap with it. We can do a pretty good job against those targets with pretty little health. What about something bigger? I think there's a behemoth down there usually. That is a sniper knockdown that we've got there. And we didn't get a sneak critical for that second shot, but you get the idea. We could do a lot better if we were sneaking though. There we go. finish the job. The job's done. Here's a reload animation if you're wondering. A quick look at this thing in third person. It is a very large weapon. It's one of those weapons that you could have in power armor. It won't look too out of proportion or too small. It kind of dwarfs Camille as it is right now, but it is a giant 50 cal machine gun. So what can you do, eh? And if you look closely, you'll see that the charging handle goes back, probably the bolt carrier as well, and the ejection port cover will actually open up and let the bullet out. But if you fire it too fast, the whole thing sort of goes out of sync. And if you do it in automatic form, don't even bother. That's what the fire rate is with this thing fully automatic, by the way. So if things end up being really close to us and we can get sneak criticals, it's going to be particularly devastating to our enemies. But for now, we'll start off with just a little bit of light sniping. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to sit here, maybe pick off a few targets. One-shot headshots will do the job. So maybe we'll take care of our aim a little bit and try to get that as much as possible. But body shots will drop them into, which I think is also good enough. I think I shot and killed a gunner. Maybe it was a headshot kill as they were running in front of another gunner I was targeting. Okay, we're in danger now. The time for sniping is over. We had a pretty good run. We'll swap magazines with this one and then bring out our automatic version, which, would you believe, has a lot of recoil and might be a little bit hard to control. It doesn't also help that the animations are very flamboyant, perhaps a little bit exaggerated. But if you don't like that, just go in a third person and gun them down that way. That way you've only got the strong camera pull to disrupt your aim there, which is pretty nice. And if you feel like this is cheating, then, well, you're right. But just keep in mind that the AI in this game, friend or foe, doesn't have to deal with this animation, so you don't have to either. I'd actually love to see what this thing would do in the hands of Winter or a whole squad. I don't know, maybe we'll check that out at the end of the video, but for now we'll keep on going. Now we're kind of being shot at from like a billion areas at once, so maybe I'll just stop being an idiot and go over here. Definitely impressed by the damage so far. We'll have to burst fire this thing a little bit to make it work. But yeah, as you can tell, the damage falls off very, very quickly if you aren't at close range. I was not able to drop that guy with the 5 or 6, maybe 10 rounds that I put into him. So maybe, perhaps there's going to be a barrel upgrade later on to make it a little bit longer. But if there isn't, then we're stuck with this thing being a very close quarters killing machine, which I guess is going to make it, it's going to set it apart from your standard. Actually, that's a lot easier to control, that recoil there with the muzzle brake, that's for sure. Yes, but with all that knowledge, it sort of finds its niche as a very close range and genius. He almost died from full damage there, but we'll keep going. The hipfire on this thing isn't too bad either. So for a very powerful per shot weapon, there's not a whole lot of vanilla game options that give you this power. Sure, you could put like a reflex sight on a Gauss rifle or a hunting rifle, but it's nowhere near close to this. You don't have to charge it up for 2 seconds before you can let the round off to do all of that brilliant damage. I think I just got a bloody mess kill there. The gunner that was standing next to him exploded as he died, so isn't that cool? Look at that gunner scurry for cover there. Yeah, I'd do the same too. Alright, time to bring out the ultimate secret weapon, the rapid receiver. Oh yeah. And aiming down sights, even better, right? Well, with this thing, there's no zooming in at all, and that muzzle brake has just kept that recoil reeled right in, so there's plenty of animation there. But since there's no sight housing or scope nonsense to get in the way, I can keep it pretty well dialed in. Good old Russian science. And just in case you forgot, you get a 3-round burst when it comes to that. And do you see that second burst do so much more damage? I think he crept just into range as I was laying that second burst down. And if that doesn't show you what difference this thing does when you're outside its intended range, then nothing else will. For instance, that gunner out there that I'm currently giving a haircut is out of range, and those few locks of hair are enough to stop the bullets at that point. So I could only imagine how strong this thing would be with the true damage mod installed. If this is on the level list and gunners will spawn with it, they'll immediately kill you as soon as they shoot you, even if you are wearing power armor, which sort of you'd think defeats the purpose of power armor, but who knows, maybe the Chinese weren't carrying around 50 cal guns at the time. It hurts seeing it do such little damage. You know, perhaps its limitations in real life aren't reflected really well in its Fallout variant. And here's a slap in the face with the wet fish. Never mind, they died to ricochet. That was a completely unrelated death. But I think at this stage, we've only got this lot left in the bunk bed room. So we'll throw on another magazine and then open this, hopefully. So I got the easy lockpicking mod, but this is not a vanilla lockpick, so it's not affected by it. How weird's that? So you just get to watch me comically fumble around with a novice lock. That's a grenade launcher. You wouldn't shoot it at close range, would you? Didn't think so. Alright, so we did pretty well there. I'd just love to give it a little bit more range somehow. Just extend that barrel out a little bit or find some sort of muzzle attachment that'll extend the barrel, but any more range, this thing would, maybe it'd be too good, but I believe that it's sort of sitting at a spot where it's got some major flaws, but if you're getting close, there's not going to be a lot of things that can beat it, which I think is pretty good. So maybe this range is not needed and it's fine and balanced as is. Pretty good. Let's move on. I don't think this has been demonstrated yet, but this thing gets sniper knockdowns. Look at that. He's down on the ground right there. Now, I suppose we could push the advantage there and sort of try to creep closer to him as these things are coming in, and we'll just sidestep this reload animation, a lengthy reload animation as it were, and now he's down again. Now what I could do is spam a bunch of criticals in his face. We're not quite there yet, but maybe we'll be fine. We'll be fine just without it. Notice how like there was a 4 or 5 shot burst in there where I didn't get any damage. That's because Todd's like, the behemoth's getting up, you don't get damage. That's not allowed. There's just some animations where some Bethesda creatures just refuse to take damage, and that ghoul took one for the team. What? How'd he die? Did he bloody mess that ghoul and that immediately killed him? He may have, you know. I can't find the ghoul giblets anywhere, but maybe that's what happened. But he was dead to rights anyway, so yeah, we'll chalk that up. That's one of the books. That was Camille's kill. Let's move on. Time for a good old-fashioned stealth commander bout. I think he's like half aggroed or something, but whatever. That concentrated fire bonus. And I killed him with 1 Bat's Burst. Okay, maybe we're pushing on overpowered now. But we tend to not see too many 50 cal chambered stealth commando build loadouts now, do we? Anyway, it's time to finish off the mantis. That's the plural of mantis. Mantis. And we're almost time for a level up too. I wonder what legendary he dropped. I barely ever check this, and I'm sure people aren't that curious all the time. But he dropped a resilient 44 pistol. Should be a revolver. Righto, so I've gathered an army, all with an assortment of 6P62 rifles. Suppressed, unsuppressed, semi-automatic, automatic, you name it, we've got it. Let's just annoy the bears and see what happens. They're all running the wrong way.
Over here.
There we go, Winter's found it. And that's what they sound like. I can't help but notice that we're not doing a very good job right now. Ow. Now we're knee-deep in all of these ancient Commonwealth bears and all that. That's no good. I think that one's stuck. Not quite. Was. Did we all just get eaten by bears? Oh, come on. I've got one left. No little inventory still left. That's fine. I'm gonna do a bit of a Rambo reviving, as it were. Back in Battlefield, used to do this. Just charge in. People reviving at their own peril. Alright. Tammy doesn't feel like getting up. That's fine. I think we've got this. He seems to be distracted on the robot. I gotta say that I thought it'd be doing a little bit better. They are chewing through its health somewhat fast there. You know what? I think the problem here is that they're just not close enough to get that maximum damage. Maybe we need to do more, but for whatever reason, we're just not. Oh, now we're up. Okay. I'm gonna stop being lazy now. Well, that could have gone better, but the job's done. There's floating bear gilberts around, and I think you get the point. Winter did her part, though. Actually, I don't think she did much. Maybe I need everyone. Perhaps another time, but I think you get the idea. So the 6P62, it's a pretty fun weapon. Drawbacks are pretty obvious, but in close quarters, like a suppressor sneak sort of build, and against lesser enemies like basic raiders, you know, just one-shot everything. So who knows, you might find it overpowered if you are playing on a lesser difficulty, but I've found that it's a pretty well, balanced. Maybe the damage is a little bit too good, but I'm not going to complain about it. I think someone just jumped off the edge. Yep, there they go. It's had a lot of deaths by gravity today. That's interesting, but yeah, if you are interested in seeing this gun, this weapon, this firearm in your game, check out the link in the description. Also works as an apparel piece. Very nice, very good, and worth having, worth looking at if you're interested. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Link will be in the description.